We're going to go ahead and get started with our program. It's so great to see all of you out tonight. And I think many of you came in early to get away from the rain, and hopefully it's over by the time we finish up tonight. My name is Dirk Katzera. I'm Executive Director of the Virginia Athletics Foundation. And on behalf of the foundation, our athletic department, and all of our coaches and student athletes, I want to welcome you all to our Charlottesville Social. This marks the end of our social tour, and what a better place, not a better place to end your tour than at home. We've been all over the East Coast. This is our 17th event. Bronco and I kicked it off up in New York in February with President Sullivan to all of our alums and donors in Manhattan. And we've been all up and down the East Coast, all throughout the state of Virginia. And the last time I saw Coach Mendenhall, we were in Virginia Beach, and there was a rumor that he may have gone surfing. So we might even hear a little bit about that. So tonight we get the great opportunity to talk all football. And the one great thing that we've had this spring, being out on tour with Coach Mendenhall and listening to him and learning about his philosophy and visioning with him what our football program will be like, is he's told a different story every time out. And I'm hoping that he's going to do that again tonight, because I always like to learn a little something new. And of course, we're in a place of learning in the Darden Business School, and so I'm sure we're going to learn a little something tonight. So I'm looking forward to that. Before we get too much further in the program, I do want to call attention to a couple of things. For those of you who have not heard, the baseball game tomorrow has been moved up to 11 o'clock due to weather. So if you're going to the game, you just have to go a little bit earlier. Coach O'Connor just wants to make sure we get our game in, and then the rest of them can figure out the weather, and we'll go from there. And without stealing any of Craig Littlepage's thunder, and I may be doing that, I do want to call attention to a couple of national champions, our men's tennis team and Danielle Collins. It's always pretty special to bring a national championship trophy back to Charlottesville. I know Craig always has a big smile on his face when those come into the McHugh Center. And of course, on the women's tennis side, having a singles champion, just an unbelievable run there. And before I turn the program over to Craig Littlepage, who will provide a couple of remarks and then introduce Coach Mendenhall, I did want to just update you on a couple of things fundraising-wise. And I know, big groan, fundraising, here we go again. But I did want to use this opportunity to thank all of you here in the room for all that you do for our program. Last year, you helped us set a record in our annual fund. And of course, costs go up, and Craig has a few new ideas, so the goal always goes up every year. So of course, we have a much loftier goal this year, but last year we did set a record. The highest annual fund we've ever had in the history of the foundation. And so we are grateful for all of your support. And what I thought I'd do tonight is, rather than throw out a bunch of big numbers about what our overall goals are, we are a little bit ahead of last year. We're about 3.5% ahead of last year. Of course, the goal went up 7.5%. So we've got a little bit of work to do. What I thought I would do is call a little bit of attention to football, because we are going to hear all about football tonight, and just so you understand what your support of our program does for our football program. So what I thought I'd do is just give you a little bit of perspective into how your gifts work in our football program. So many of you probably follow the individual scholarship costs, and tuition goes up and it translates into increased scholarship costs, and there's an in-state cost and there's an out-of-state cost. Well, the out-of-state cost this year coming up is right around $60,000, all in, room, board, books, tuition, and fees, and it includes the new cost of attendance that the NCAA allowed all schools to add into the athletic scholarships. The in-state scholarship is about half as much. So those of us in our office are always jumping up and down when we get an in-state student athlete signed to a scholarship. Now, we don't really care where they come from, because we want the best ones we can get. But from a cost perspective, we do like the in-state student athletes. So what does that mean for football? Well, we will, with your help, be able to fund $4.1 million for 85 football scholarships next year. It's a pretty remarkable amount of money that we are able to generate, and that's just one sport. Obviously, it's our biggest sport at 85 scholarships, but that's just one sport among 25 sports. The total number of scholarships that we award each year is 316, so football is a pretty big piece of that. Now, the other piece of that, and that we always remind ourselves and try to make sure that everybody knows, is the only source of scholarship support is you all and the thousands of other people who support our program each and every year through annual giving. The other component of our scholarship program is in our endowment, and that's something that we're trying to focus on each and every year. So what does that look like for football? Now, we're fortunate that we have 15 football scholarships endowed, and we just awarded all 15 of those about a month ago at our all sports banquet, where we bring the donors in and announce the recipients to all of our student athletes and highlight them. And it costs $500,000 to endow an out-of-state football scholarship. So we are fortunate that we've had 15 families decide to provide a legacy and endow a scholarship that will be named in their honor forever. Now, if my math is correct, 85 scholarships with 15 endowed, we have 70 left to endow. So we've got a long way to go, but we're fortunate that we have 15 endowed and a pretty strong annual giving program to make up the difference. And so tonight, as we move on to Craig and then to Bronco, really want to just say thank you. We're grateful for all the support that you provide each and every year through your financial contributions, but I know many, many of you come to almost everything that we have here in Charlottesville, regardless of the sport. We know many of you have football season tickets and have had so for many, many years. We're all looking forward to this fall in Scott Stadium, and so thanks so much for all the support that you provide, not only our football program, but all 25 sports that we do have at the University of Virginia. And with that, I'd like to bring the athletics director up, who sets the vision for our program. He's the best boss in America. Please give a warm welcome to Craig Littlepage, Director of Athletics.
Thank you, Dirk, and I'd also would add my words of welcome to all of you for coming out tonight, joining with us to celebrate what has been another great year for University of Virginia athletics. The current, and I know a lot of you people follow these things because some of you were talking about it out in the lobby. The current standings for the annual Directors' Cup, standings that were released up to date or year to date just a couple of days ago, University of Virginia currently stands number 7 in the country in terms of the Directors' Cup rankings. And that does not include baseball, that does not include rowing. No, I think rowing was included. We have some track and field athletes that have yet to compete in nationals, so hopefully we can maybe move up a notch or two in the standings. You may remember a number of years ago, back in 2001, we articulated a number of 10-year goals that we thought would help us as an athletics department here at the University of Virginia advance and grow our athletics program. The charge that was given was to develop the blueprint for a top 10 performing intercollegiate sports program. And we came up with a couple of things that would be needed in order to do that, investing in people, investing in facilities, basically. When we talked about investing in facilities, we had to fully fund all of our scholarships. And because of each and every one of you and the thousands of others around the country, we've been able to fully fund our scholarship program. At the time, in 2001, I believe we were about 86 or 87% fully funded to the NCAA maximum. I think it's been since about 2003 or 2004 that we've been fully funded up to the NCAA limit. We also had to invest in people in terms of our coaching staff. We had to provide the maximum allowable coaches in each of our sports. And we had to be able to provide the operational support in order to not only bring them here, but to keep them here, to help them bring talented assistant coaches. And again, on the basis of the support that so many of you have provided, we've been able to bring just a wonderful, wonderful coaching staff here when you look at all 25 sports. We invested in facilities, and we developed for you, for your enjoyment and for the development of our teams, and to highlight our teams, some of the most attractive and most fitting facilities anywhere in the country. And if you just walk around and look at what has been done over the last 14 to 15 years, it's been truly impressive. So we have you to thank, and I want to take that moment, this moment to thank you. But we also have the staff of the Virginia Athletics Foundation to thank. And I would ask that you join me in a round of applause for the best athletic development fundraising organization. The best in the country, absolutely the best. And just a wonderful staff, wonderful organization. And the work that they do with you, the combination of the staff and the combination of so many great friends throughout the country, it gives us the opportunity to set the kind of goals that bring credit to the University of Virginia, bring credit to this university community. And we are all blessed to be just a small part of that. The person that I want to take this moment to introduce, actually before I introduce him, we do have a lot of special people here. In fact, each and every one of you is special, but we have a lot of former student athletes. So if you're a former UVA student athlete, why don't you stand and let us acknowledge you and thank you for creating the foundation, establishing a legacy for what this program has become. All of our former student athletes. And as they stand, I'm sure that they would as well be saying thank you for what you have done to allow them the opportunity to attend a great institution like the University of Virginia, get just a world-class education, and to be out there performing and representing you here at the University of Virginia. I have the great pleasure of introducing our new head football coach. And since the moment that I met him, I have been just overwhelmed and impressed with him. And then as he started to bring his posse with him from Provo, I've been even more impressed. And he'll tell the story better than anybody, but to think that, was it 8 families or more, 12 families would travel a couple thousand miles east to join him here at the University of Virginia, in many cases sight unseen, many leaving family behind in Utah, I think really does say it all in terms of what he established in his program at Brigham Young University, and not only what he established, but the environment, the culture, the friendships, the relationships, throughout that coaching staff, throughout that department, and within that community in Provo, Utah. And I remember on the day that we sat together when I had the pleasure to introduce him as our new football coach, I was recalling some of the notes that I had taken immediately after the interview that we had in a site unnamed. And I wrote down words like self-improvement, well-read, inquisitive, curious, hardworking, analytics, and data-driven. Just, there were about 10 adjectives or terms I had listed. And it's almost every time we sit down and have a conversation, every time we have an interaction, 1 or 2 of those words that I had written down that afternoon in December comes back to mind. He is an exceptional coach, an exceptional man. What he did with the program at Brigham Young University has been well documented, and we think that he's the guy that can bring that same level of success, that same level of sustained success here to the University of Virginia. And I'm happy to introduce our new head football coach, Coach Bronco Mendenhall. Please join me.
Knee replacement coming down here. What a pleasure to be here. I'm not sure. Dirk might be able to say how many of the spring socials that I've been able to participate in, but I've enjoyed every one. There's a sense of optimism. Rio, come up here, please. There's a sense of optimism, there's a sense of hope, and there's a sense of enthusiasm and energy surrounding our program that is real. It is authentic. There's nothing pretend about it. As you get to know my staff, you can't help but feel that. We came here to develop young people, and I like the word a lot, and to have great success on the field. And we absolutely think those things can and will happen here. It's not one at the expense of the other. Great student athletes, fantastic people, and fantastic football players, and they can go together. And our intrigue of coming to UVA was because it's a place where that can happen. Other coaches have already proved that. If you watch our basketball team play, they've proved that. If you watch our tennis team play, they've proved that. If you watch baseball play, they've proved that. If you've watched really almost every team that I've had a chance to watch since I've been here, I'm just saying, bravo. They're doing it exactly right, and that's what we intend to do. The men behind me, I'd like to introduce. This is no way a single-person job. Occasionally, there has to be a person to step out front and be the spokesperson. I consider our staff a team of leaders. We embrace something called the Stage 5 leadership model, where any are capable of leading at any time when called on. That allows us to do a lot all at the same time. Rather than having one person have to direct everything, we simply trust each other. We assign tasks, and we all go like crazy at the same time. We report back on occasion, communicate, and we just keep going. And it allows us to work really, really fast, really, really efficient, really, really successful, but also have and take seriously our roles as husbands and fathers. And so we get more done in less time, I think, than any program in the country, but we also really care about our own families. And so 12 families came all the way across the country. As you know, Utah and Virginia don't border. It's a long ways away. And we have, and I always share this statistic, we have the most children in all of college football, 48. Yeah. So, and then with Coach Soto and his wife, 49 is coming in 3 days. So that'll give us the lead on Michigan by 2. So when you think about that, it's fun to think about that, but now if you think about the reality of how come, because most of these men, their families live in Utah currently. That means young moms have their moms there. That in and of itself is a game changer, right? For you moms, having your mom there in case you want a night out or a date with your husband and someone to watch the kids if you want to travel. And so if you really think about it for a second, then why leave? Really? And if you're thinking about winning all those games and having family support, there has to be something. And I think we have a great relationship as a staff. We have an amazing culture, but more importantly, we're all friends. That is uncommon in the world of business and sport, that you can work really hard together, but you like each other. And we have a pretty simple mantra: we won't work with anyone we don't like. And we get to choose, and I get to ultimately make that choice. And so I think what we all believe and feel in is, where else would we rather be than together and taking on another challenge? And that's who we are. So I'm going to speak as loud as possible away from the mic and just kind of stand by each one at the same time and introduce who they are and what they do. And then I'll excuse them back to their seats, and I'll talk a little bit about our program. So over here, Rio Walker. Rio is what we consider a Dream Team member. And they've earned that name, Dream Team. We have the best and brightest students that work in our program. And he works basically, we call it recruiting or talent acquisition. There's nothing you can give Rio that he can't do. He also does it better than expected, faster than what you expected, and at a higher quality. And with a smile, and holy smokes. So he will work for us at some point. So how much longer are you with us?
Up until July. Another month.
So it'll be sad, like to see him transition into like changing the world somewhere else, because that's what he's doing. But we'll get him back at some point. He's made a huge difference for us there. Jerry. So maybe we'll just let me roll through, and then we'll do one giant clap session. So Jerry Capone has been at UVA a long time. He's director of football operations. I think he knows just about everyone in Charlottesville. He's introducing me to the best and brightest people everywhere. He knows the history of the institution unbelievably so. He's helping me navigate
the unique structure of UVA and where to go and what to do in terms of all the things that are not on the field. So all the things in terms of supporting our program, incredible bank of knowledge, and really there's not a task beneath what he's willing to do. And that's an incredible thing, to be able to just ask someone to do anything, and they're willing to and want to help our program. I don't think anyone loves UVA more than Jerry, and so we've gotten to know each other since December 26th till now, and it's been really fun. So Bob Price, Bob and Jerry are kind of running mates, because like when you stand between them, you never know which side is going to come after you. So they work in tandem a lot. Bob works also in player personnel in terms of orchestrating, designing, and helping us pull off what we need to get done now to bring the brightest students, the best people, and the best players to UVA. Tons of experience, been here with, this is the fourth coach, which lets you know about the volatility of college coaching. The average, by the way, as the head coach is 3 years or less, is what an average Division I coach can last. Fortunately, I've been a Division I coach, head coach one other place. That was 11 and left on my own terms. We're excited to at least equal that. So Bob was a coach at one point, and then loved the UVA, but has made a real difference. Adds all kinds of wisdom to us in terms of data and analytics. Knowing that this East Coast area is so much for all of us West Coast guys that come out here has been really effective in helping us gain momentum into the recruitment of this part of the country. Landa also works in personnel, and man, I'm not sure there's not a high school coach from, I don't know how far over I should go, Texas, to the East Coast that he doesn't know or have some connection with. And so when you put Landa with Rio and Bob together from a data collect or from a player perspective, profile, and knowledge base, they've really given us a great start for the young guns and the guys that come with me to go out and then build relationships. They've been pointing us in the right direction and done a really nice job. So now, let's see. Okay, we get kind of the rougher.
We got a microphone.
Hey. Kind of feel like Frank Sinatra or somebody. So, Garrett Touge, our offensive line coach. Man, an amazing, amazing person. Wife Cammie will be in his home August 1st, I think is when the transition date is. He's still living in the Cavalier Inn. So we just affectionately call it the Cav, and has gone without a car since I think December 26th, just walking from the Cav to our office and back. Fantastic person, fantastic O-line coach, fantastic recruiter, even better as a dad. And so Garrett Touge over here, the director of player personnel, so the one that kind of tries to keep that group in line if possible. Justin Anderson came with me from BYU. We helped develop a software that, man, I think they're starting to market to other programs, which is, we're trying to hold that off, but 18 others now have, most of the SEC teams want to use the software that we've developed to manage, well, at BYU, because it's a 7-year plan with 40% of the team rotating on missions every year and married and et cetera. We needed to have something that was world-class. So we've developed that. Justin is a master of that, as well as architecting and bringing the right people here. And so he's headed up that whole process for us. Wife Ann and 6 kids. So Vic Soto is a defensive graduate assistant for us. Hey, be careful. Vic was my very first commit at BYU. So my first year that I became the head coach, this crazy guy decided to say, I want to go play for you at BYU. I still remember sitting on his couch, and it was an amazing experience. Vic's wife, Ashley, was my personal assistant at BYU. So the way this really worked is we thought Ashley was coming to work for me. She decided not to be my assistant. Vic was here, so I hired him as a graduate assistant. Ashley now is staying at home and going to have number 4 in 3 days.
Yep.
So you never know. So anyway, Vic played 4 years in the NFL, works with Coach McNeil on the defensive line. Those two together, holy cow. If you came to practice, that's entertainment. You might not even watch practice. You just might watch those two. Those two, they're really fun. Pat Hickman is Director of Player Development. That means helping players become more prepared for life through football. And so anything that has to do with service, anything that has to do with developing an understanding of finance and managing bank accounts, anything that has to do with housing, anything that has to do with professional conduct, if it has to do with building resumes, if it has to deal with handling NFL interviews, etc., dealing with the professional scouts, etc., as well as our accountability system called our strike system. I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. He sometimes is the bad guy in terms of the way the players see it, but he does a fantastic job. He and his wife, Celeste, man, where does she work now?
Fidelity Investments.
Fidelity Investment, and so they have a house about halfway between jobs, and he thanks me probably every day for him coming to Charlottesville, which is a great thing. Not that BYU was bad, but he really likes it here. Shane Hunter is my inside linebackers coach. Shane played for me, inside linebacker at BYU. Not many people recruited Shane out of junior college except us at BYU. He ended up starting for us because of he's height challenged, but his heart is giant, and his effort is giant, and his grit is giant, and his resolve is giant, and you can't make him quit. And he played a lot for us, started at inside linebacker because he would just simply work harder than anyone else and became more trustworthy. And so all of a sudden, Shane Hunter was a starting inside linebacker. He's one of the best graduate assistants that I've ever had. Almost everyone on our staff has been a graduate assistant or player. We hire from within, and that's how we have consistency and sustainability with the number of games that we've won. So Shane Hunter and his wife, Carrie, and baby girl, or a girl with a birthday coming up in July?
July 1st.
July 1st. Yep, there we go. Jason Beck, quarterback for us at BYU, and is our quarterback coach. Married to an All-American soccer player at BYU, whose career put his in the shadows. She was amazing. It's true. I mean, it just, we deal in brutal facts on our staff. Jason is exceptional. In fact, in his learning profile, all of us know each other's learning profile and how to communicate. No matter what kind of pressure you put Jason under, his pulse stays at about 38. I mean, he just, wedding day, good and bad, right? I mean, but Jason manages all of our 2-minute situations. You cannot rattle him. So in our first game last year, we're playing Nebraska. There's, I don't know, the ball's on like the 48, like their 48. There's like 3 seconds left. We have to throw a touchdown to win. And Jason's saying, you know, I think we have a good chance here. We throw a Hail Mary, win the last play of the game. Yeah, that was a good pass. So yeah, okay. Coach Mark Atawaya is the exact opposite of Coach Beck. So you can just look at him funny, and he's going to celebrate and smile and throw a towel around and put himself through college singing. Amazing voice. Married the lead singer of the Jets, an old music group. Has, you want to give all the names of your kids or just say the number?
This number. Seven.
So between he and Coach Anderson, that's 13 just between those two. Notice any similarity? So Coach Atawaya is fabulous. Has his law degree from BYU. Exceptional in really every way. Enthusiasm, optimism, energy. I mean, you can't meet him and not like him, and you can't be around him and not smile. And holy cow, is that fun. And his players absolutely love him. Fantastic recruiter and just a great person. And so over here, all the way over to a coach that I've hired, not retained. There's a giant difference. I didn't really have an interest or wasn't planning on having any of the existing staff stay because I had so many that I really liked at BYU. To leave one of my coaches and hire someone that I didn't know as well, that's a huge statement. I mean, based on what you see. And I met Coach Hagans when I came out to be introduced, and in a half hour, I decided he has to work here. And great person. His wife Lauren and the 2 little boys are amazing. He is UVA. All the greatest things I think that are here, he is that. And so we have to have him. And so he was hired, not retained, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, hired. Giant difference. And we're so glad that he's here. Receivers coach. It happens like this everywhere we go. I mean, every place we go, and yeah, we're just used to being in the background with Coach Higgs. And last but not least, Coach and I, Robert and I, is our offensive coordinator. We've been together 8, I think, of the 11 at BYU. Is that right? Or 9?
9.
9. But who's counting? Yeah, 9. Wife Leone, a coaching veteran, has been all over the country, has played in all kinds of systems, coached in all kinds of systems, was the center on the national championship team at BYU. Quick fact now, his son Famika, who played offensive line for us, really, really tough, is coming to be an offensive graduate assistant. Famika's wife, Tess, just had a baby. They just had a baby, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
So grandfather now, but they're coming now in about a week. So, and you know what? We hadn't been counting her in the total. So we're at 50. Well, we will be by the time Vic. So we have a 3-baby lead on Michigan right now, which is great. Robert is, I wouldn't want to be with anyone else. He's just, there's character, there's substance, and when it comes down to principle, it's just unwavering. And so anyway, my defensive staff is at the New England Patriots right now, gathering more information to help us change the world and win. So they're all flying in tonight. But that's Nick Howell, Kelly Papinga, and Ruffin McNeil. 3 of those members. Coach Hunter just came in with Coach Hagans from the Steelers earlier. We love talent, but we also love knowledge and acquisition of knowledge. And so we're relentless about gaining best practices. So that's where they've been. But now this is who's here. All right, so I'll be glad just to share a few remarks on what we're doing and how we're doing it, and then we'll field questions. And that could be to me or possibly a position coach if you'd like that. Again, I feel lucky. The opportunity to be here is truly amazing with what I think the capability is. And what was the draw to come? I love the noise, by the way. It's so good. We feel right at home. We have little kids running through our hallways and at the office. The standards of UVA, I would not consider going to a place that didn't have something else besides an opportunity in football. That's not who we are as a staff, and it's not who I am. There had to be something else. And the academic component of this, with this tradition of honor, was something that captivated me. And then if you think about someone that really likes to build, as I thought about the 11 years at BYU, the best time that I had, and the part that I remember most and enjoyed the most, was inheriting a team with 3 losing seasons and watching it and helping it turn. And holy cow, was that gratifying. And so when you start to put together this idea of building and making a difference and challenge, which we love, love, love challenge, they just picked us to finish last, yeah? What a mistake. I mean, so we love that kind of challenge. I mean, they couldn't have written the story any better. We just had, in football, the highest grade point average over the past 10 years, or as far as they've calculated. That's just from the time these guys arrived to this semester. So the highest grade point average in the history of the school. So we have this pretty simple philosophy called accountability. And it's tied directly to discipline. So if a player chooses for any reason, which we just can't understand why he would not attend a class, which is a giant mistake, because he's missing a chance to learn, which we value. But if he happens to choose to miss a class, we just have a simple accountability. It's 350 burpee box jumps the next morning at 5. And so it's just right away. There's no drama. So we're a no drama program. So more work, less drama is what we say. Be quiet and work and it's working. So what happens is we think symbolically, because I love symbolism and I love big picture thinking. If you choose to not attend an opportunity that could help you become better in your life and provide for your family and gain knowledge, holy cow, what is your problem? And there has to be one. And so it gives us a great chance to teach. So we think symbolically that player is knocking himself down, making it harder. So he touches his stomach, then he has to stand up, which is where he was to begin with, but he just made life harder, but that's what he's learning. Then he jumps up on either a 36-inch box or a 48-inch box, and then he reaches for his potential. And then he repeats 350 times. So he does that within an hour. By the way, don't look at me like I'm the bad guy. It's his choice. So they know. Some agree, some disagree. It's okay. I'm used to that as the head coach. Here's the thing. What we are teaching is every choice has a consequence. And if you know the consequence in advance, then really whose choice is it? It is not mine. If they want to be in class, if they want to pay attention, and if they want to be seen, which is great to be seen up front, no farther than the middle, because there's a chance if we look in the front and the middle and we don't see them, they're not there. Even though they might be there. But we've been in the back long enough. So we actually practice being in the front. So we think that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so we want excellence in all that we do. And so you might say, holy cow, that takes a lot of energy. It really doesn't. Miss class, be at Coach Wintrick's office at 5 the next morning. That's all it takes. If their lockers aren't exactly right, that means shoes at 90, laundry loop on the left, face mask facing directly forward, shoulder pads upside down facing directly at the ceiling, not a scrap of paper in the locker room, counters wiped down, nothing in the toilets. If it's perfect, then they get to have the locker room the next day. If not, we close the doors and they wash their own stuff and they take it home. To their credit, it hasn't happened yet with this team, which is it's a world record. But here's the thing. If you take care of yourself and each other, no one else has to. And we don't think we're entitled to anything. We think that we earn everything. And if these players go into life expecting to earn and work and qualify for the opportunities they're given, they'll be thankful and they'll be contribution-oriented, not entitlement-driven. And a lot of them come to us through the recruiting process entitlement-driven. We are not that program. And so when they watch us practice, we work really hard. In fact, the way that our drills work, if they don't make it through ready prep, which is the warm-up, which has to be exactly synchronized and perfect, and that's all we do at practice. So it took them 3 weeks in the off-season to master that to where we actually got to start on conditioning, where they have to be in great shape to even qualify for practice, because practicing is playing a game which they're supposed to love. So why would you complain about practicing a game that you're supposed to love? And so they have to earn practice, which most of our team did, not all. There's no numbers and there's no V-Cross Sabres because currently they have not earned a number. They're lucky to be part of our team, so they're earning team membership before they even think about the individual part. And the V-Sabre, by the time they get a jersey and a V-Sabre, they will cherish that like a treasure. And the idea is they will then play in a manner that it is a treasure and a great opportunity to represent those that have been here and the values. And so they will earn that. I don't know how many will have numbers the first game. Holy cow, that could be hard, huh? So now there's this thought of, is he serious or not? Absolutely. So we might have 30 guys dressed out for the first game. It might be 40, it might be 50, I don't know. But they will qualify one at a time to get to play football for the University of Virginia. And they will play with their heart. That's their entire heart, with fanatical effort. And they will play from whistle to whistle. And the simple pace of the game is intended to exhaust our opponent. And then the physical play is intended to break their will. And then we end up winning more than we lose every single year. And that is the design of the program. So I hope that's what you're looking for. That's the direction we're going. Okay? So in order for the challenge that Dirk threw out to tell one more story, or tell a story that I haven't told yet, I always tell a story, so this is the story that I haven't told yet. Is Dirk, are you still here? Okay, good. So my father's a horse trainer. I grew up breaking and training and starting colts, 15 to 18 a summer. My salary was given in this manner where there was nothing paid to me. I got the worst colt every year of the 18, the one that my dad didn't want or didn't think had any value. He would then give that to me. And then he would simply say, whatever you can make on that colt, that's your salary. So that includes after I had to pay for the feed, that's the hay and the oats, the water bill, the vet bill, any gas for the tractor, and then any profit would be mine. And my dad, I think, just chuckled after making that deal. I made money one time from the time I was 12 through my second year in college, and but I learned a lot about trying really hard, and no one was going to do it for me. And that first check that I ever got, the only check I ever got, I cherished that, and that made a huge difference to me. So that same dad threw me the keys at 12 years old and told me to go do the chores at 5 in the morning, and I didn't know how to drive. And there was no anything else other than go do the chores. And so I figured out how to drive. That's feeding 200 head of cattle, and there's 50 horses in training. And I was late for school that day. But I did do it. And for those worried about my safety, no one else lived on it's 40 acres, and I really couldn't hurt myself. But I felt, and I grew up to where I could take any challenge on, and I thought I could do anything because he made me feel that way by asking me to do hard things. So we ask our players to do hard things. Right across from the place I grew up, there were foothills and rolling hills, and we'd take the colts out there to ride, and my dad would just say, let them be a horse, because they'd be out of the arena, and they'd learn to cross streams and go through branches and have things rubbing against them and, kind of navigate just the wilderness. My dad always told me to be prepared, and he was one of those guys that told you just enough information to make you think, but not enough to know why he told you that. And he said, whenever you go take the colts out there, be prepared. And okay. So I saddled up and went just like normal, and one of my brothers went at the same time. And so we were riding, and everything was going great. And we were about 2 hours into the ride, and just ready to turn back, and we hear thunder. And it didn't take long before thunder then equaled hail. And it didn't take long for hail then to turn to snow. And this is in the spring. And it didn't take long for snow to start feeling cold with a t-shirt on and just Levi's. And then, interestingly enough, because of how high we were in the mountains, fog came in, or the ceiling came down, and it became very difficult to know what direction we were going. And then I started to realize my dad told me to be prepared. I would have liked a little more than that at that point. And so my brother and I we looked at each other and was like, this is not good. You know how it kind of is funny to start, but then you realize this isn't funny anymore? And we started, like anyone would, acknowledging a higher power than just us and asking for help. And there was no trail. We couldn't see the trail. Anyway, about 3 hours later, we found our way down. And my dad was there in the barn. He didn't go looking for us. I guess he trusted us enough that we'd make it. He's a good guy, by the way. But he was in the barn, and he was kind of standing like this. He had a cowboy hat like the old guys do, kind of tilted sideways. And he goes, not prepared, huh? Got in his truck and went down to the house. And my brother and I are shivering, and he said, oh, by the way, put the horses away and make sure they're fed. And so he did care, but he taught us a valuable lesson, and that was to anticipate challenges that aren't seen. And for our coaching staff, for our families, we really try. When we represent you as a coaching staff, we put a team out there, we pride ourselves in not being caught off guard. Can I promise it won't happen? Man, I hate it when it does, and I remember those couple instances, but I think you'll see a well-prepared team that's prepared, anticipating things that you really don't see but could happen, and we agonize over those critical small details, non-essentials, until they become essential, And I trace that a lot to the gifts my dad passed on to me. So Dirk, there's your story. Can I answer any questions for anyone? Yes, right here.
How do you feel about your quarterbacks this year?
Yeah, Coach Beck, come on up. It's a great thing being a head coach.
Excited for the competition heading into spring ball. There'll be 3 QBs really competing and fighting, and for the opportunity to play. And so I love the competition. I think it will pull out the best player to represent our program and represent the university and set the tone for us on offense.
So that was really good. That was just enough to kind of answer the question, but not really, huh? So quarterback coaches get really skilled at doing that. We love Matt John's leadership. We love Connor Brewer's accuracy. And we love the run-pass threat of our new transfer from East Carolina. And somewhere between those 3, we think we have enough answers. What it's going to look like for sure, we don't know yet. But again, every position on our team, there's competition. We love that. One of those 3 right now is as close as we are to telling you who the starter is. So hopefully that answers your question right here.
Could you tell us what's been your biggest challenge as a coach and how you addressed it?
Here?
Yes.
Man, yeah, I guess I can. So I had a chance to sit down with our athletic director this week, I think. So these are amazing kids. We love our team, and a credit to Mike London, the quality of people he brought here. I commend him for that. I like these kids. They're not perfect, but they're good people. And we've been very surprised at how fast these kids have embraced. Who asked the question? How fast these kids have embraced these this extreme work capacity that we're asking them. I mean, they're craving direction, discipline, guidance, and they really want to win. They're hungry. Almost on the verge of desperate, and almost on the verge of not having hope is how it started. But they're carrying themselves now with more confidence and optimism. But now we face a time of year where there's not nearly as much supervision in terms of what the NCAA allows. And so they're a lot more autonomous. And so we've only been here a little while. And so some of those roots aren't quite deep enough. And these habits we're trying to promote, and there's more autonomy. And when they get in the community, man, I care about that a ton. I want them to be perfect examples. And so as we start to navigate that with working within the NCAA rules to give enough governance, but also to help provide the right answers to these kids as they make a mistake or two. I had a chance to sit with Coach Littlepage the other day and kind of start sorting that out in this unique culture with some of the unique challenges that are here, not necessarily to Provo. We think we're great when we have them from morning till night. We're still trying to get those habits in place when we don't, but they still are great from morning till night. And we're trying to get that done with only the short amount of time we've been here, and that's what we're wrestling with a little bit right now.
I know at BYU, you felt it important early on to develop a mission statement.
Yes.
To unify and direct the
Yeah.
team. Have you done that here yet? And if so, are you free to share?
Yeah, I'm free to share it. The reason the coaches are laughing is I just sent the latest version today to them. I don't know how many versions have we gone through, do you think? A lot. And it's funny because you think you could just take over a job and we're going to do this, but this is a working document, and we've let it kind of just brew in the crock pot for a while, and season and come to life. And so today's version, how about if I give you that? Would that be fair? And you won't hold it to me forever, but today, so we will identify and develop smart, tough, and talented young people of exceptional character who will win ACC championships and change the world. So maybe, Dirk, how much time do we have? Give me a number like how many questions, and I'll go off of that. 4? Okay, 4, right here.
This is a football related. This is more personal.
Oh, good.
But,
Yeah.
I don't remember if I heard you say or read that
Yeah.
Being an introvert as well.
We're related.
So I'll say the small talk will be limited.
Yeah.
In this type of job, and you're doing all these socials, you might see you at a baseball game, like I'm gonna say hi to him, but I'm not gonna do any small talk. 'Cause I'm an introvert. When did you find that out about yourself? And now that you have, how did you get that time to recharge?
So I am passionate about learning. My favorite thing is to read. I love to gain knowledge, and one of the things we started studying about learning is that each person learns differently and communicates differently. So our entire staff, we did a number of personality assessments, and so when we took, one was called the Myers-Briggs. I don't know if anyone's taken that or not. So in taking the Myers-Briggs, thanks, Robert. Value all the time, Coach and I. So we took the Myers-Briggs, and it surprised me because there's a section in there that says introverted and extroverted, and there's kind of like a bar graph that goes sideways. So like if this was the end of the introvert ranking, meaning that's you're introverted, I was like off the thing over here. And all that means is, it doesn't mean that I'm not capable of this, it's just the energy that it requires is much more. And so you might have heard me talk about my daily renewal of at least 90 minutes. That's to be able to do the job. And that renewal is private time, so I'm on my mountain bike somewhere, I'm on my motorcycle somewhere, I fly fish, stand-up paddle. And so I'm finding all those places to do things to do around here. My secretary's told that she doesn't know where I am, but when I come back, I'm recharged and ready to roll. And that allows me to be the best version of me for my family, for my team, and et cetera. So I'm really an introvert and an extroverted's job. But there's some good things to that because of the substance and the depth that can be added. So man, we really like know each other now, huh? Yeah. I'm not, that's pretty much. Yeah.
To what extent are you involved in out-of-conference scheduling? And if you are, what's your philosophy?
Yeah, out-of-conference scheduling was the question, and if I'm involved and to what extent and what's my philosophy. Yes, I am involved, and so the way our process works is Jerry Capone, who's our football operations director, is always on the hunt for who needs games. And a lot of times this is 5 years out, which you try to project what kind of team you'll have then, what kind of team they'll have then, where you'll be playing, how does that fit, and then you try to adjust the best you can, and then how much they want to be paid, what is your budget, etc. So there's a lot that goes into it. So he'll find games, he'll bring them to me, and if I like them, then I'll pass them on to John Oliver, who then will look at the budget and etc. and gives thumbs up or thumbs down, and we'll go for that. We were just, as ACC conference coaches, we were just asked if we wanted a 9th conference game. Unanimously, the entire coaches for all the schools said no, they don't want a 9th conference game, they want 8. They would also like at least one, the old equivalent of 1AA team to play every year. That isn't to get a guaranteed win. What that means is those schools without the money, football, a lot of those schools is going to go away. And so we're collectively, I sit on the AFC board of directors, and we're trying to make sure we preserve this opportunity at as many schools as possible. And so we think by having each school, and that won't count against strength of schedule, would allow some of those schools to keep playing. So that would leave basically the remaining games, and I'd love to have another intriguing Power 5 matchup, maybe a mid-level intriguing, and someone we could just destroy. Yeah, over here. Yep. Sure. Yep. I like it when you ask someone else a question.
Okay, offensive philosophy. Go fast and go hard. That's our philosophy. And we're either going to throw the ball or we're going to run the ball. And when we throw the ball, we're going to try to complete it the best we can. And when we run the ball, we're going to try to run it for as many yards as possible.
It's a simple game, yeah? I mean, and if you have the brown leather thing go across the line close to the things that go like this, and they'll give you points. How can you not love my staff? I mean, one more question. Yes, up here.
How is your family acclimating to Charlottesville?
My family is acclimating well. We are still in the RV. Hopefully able to move in August 1st, which has been an amazing experience. I highly recommend it. I really do. When you're angry with each other, there is no place to go, and you have to literally work things out, which has been really, really good. We're closer together now, literally, but also figuratively than we've ever been. Holly only allowed, this is my wife, only allowed us to have a backpack. This is December 26th, and a small duffel that would fit in a saddlebag on a horse to make this an adventure. That's all we've lived on since December 26th as a family. And she told my middle son, who was kind of hesitant about coming, that she would make this the greatest adventure of his life. And she's lived up to her word, and he's loving it. So my oldest son, performing arts is his thing. He was the lead in Greece, Western Albemarle. He was Danny Zuko, which was really cool. My middle son now wants to be a calf roper. I don't know where that started, but he wants to do that. And my youngest son saw our men's tennis team play and just did his first tennis tournament. He wants to be a tennis player. So doing well, and they just finished school, so they're on break. Thanks for coming tonight. We really appreciate it.
Bronco, on behalf of all of us, I know we've enjoyed being with you. Thanks so much for spreading your word around the Wahoo Nation. It's been great being with you this spring, and what a great way to end the tour. Before you go, we'd like to give away a few door prizes. So Brandon, I think, is going to help me give these away. We've drawn the names out of the hat. First door prize is a couple of football tickets. The winner is Peggy Williams. There, Frank. The next one is, I think, the first autographed Bronco Mendenhall picture distributed in Charlottesville, possibly. That's true. And the winner is Harry Kennan. There he is, right in the middle, Brandon. And on the eve to defend our NCAA baseball championship, we have a autographed baseball from last year's championship team, and the winner is Dan Waller. Dan here. All the way up. Brandon, can you throw it to him? Can you throw it? Thank you so much for coming out. Have a great evening. I think it stopped raining, so you're good. Thank you.